Welcome back to another episode of The Radio Psychs, your premier podcast for insights into everything mental health. I'm Dr. Aaron Haddock.
And I'm Dr. Rhonda Yu. We're psychologists who care about people and bringing science to practice.
And we're so glad to have you join us.
Please note that the information shared in this episode is solely intended for informational and entertainment purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical or mental health advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Today's episode is on practices to cultivate self-compassion.
Rondi, in our recent episode on self-compassion, we covered what it is, how it works, and some of the research on its contribution to mental health and well-being. In this episode, we're going to focus on deliberate practices for cultivating it.
That's right. And don't forget, we also discussed extending self-compassion to ourselves for some of our past hairstyles.
Right. About that. It seems like it's really working for you, man. You get a new haircut?
Yeah, I did. Thanks for noticing.
Of course. It's hard not to. It looks good, but did you pay half price or something?
No? What do you ask?
Because it looks like they forgot to cut the front.
Oh, they didn't forget it. That's the style, man. I'm bringing it back.
Okay, I see. Changing it up. You do you, man.
Thanks, man. This self-compassion is good stuff. That episode really helped me mindfully tune into how I really feel about this old hairstyle without judgment and to see clearly my common humanity with all of the other folks who still rock it.
I see. So in an act of self-kindness, you went to the barber to have it reinstated?
Exactly.
Okay. Enough playing around. Let's get into the episode. While those are the core components of self-compassion, mindfulness, self-kindness, and common humanity, I'm not sure that's exactly what scholars of the topic have in mind. But let's roll with it and get into some of the key practices we can use to cultivate it.
Sounds good. So first off, since mindfulness is a key aspect of self-compassion, practices that cultivate our ability to be present in the here and now with our experience in a non-judgmental way contribute to self-compassion. If you haven't already, check out our episode on mindfulness to learn more.
That's right. And I just mentioned that mindfulness in the context of self-compassion often focuses on being aware of our emotions and thoughts, especially what we think of as our inner critic, and unbalanced thinking habits like thinking you're all good or all bad. For more on these topics, you can check out the series of episodes we did on thinking, catching thoughts, and dealing with negative thoughts.
In the literature on self-compassion, talking to yourself as you would a good friend is commonly recommended, but sometimes people find it hard to do this. They may think they don't deserve it, or that it can prevent them from addressing personal shortcomings.
That's right. Which gets back to our discussion of Carl Rogers' notion of conditions of worth in our first episode on self-compassion. This is the trap many of us fall into that makes us think we have to meet certain expectations to be worthy of love, care, and respect.
Yeah, like we have to earn these things. Like our self-worth doesn't simply stem from being a human being that's intrinsically worthy.
And we may experience internalized voices from our parents or society that remind us of this, especially when we're struggling or when we're unsuccessful at something.
These are those self-punishing thoughts that tell you things like, you aren't good enough, that you don't work hard enough, or that you deserve the hardships you're experiencing.
They can be brutal and harsher than anything someone else might say to you.
Fortunately, cultivating self-kindness through the practice of loving kindness can be a powerful remedy for this kind of self-criticism.
Yeah, the meditation teacher Sharon Salzberg describes loving kindness as the spirit of friendship toward yourself and others.
That's good. In a nutshell, a loving kindness meditation guides you through a process of first thinking about and sending loving kindness to someone you deeply love and care for.
You visualize this person. Perhaps it's your child, partner, sibling, parent, best friend, pet, and then you actively think or say something aloud like, may you be happy, may you feel loved, may you be at ease, may you accept yourself just as you are.
This, in and of itself, is a powerful, often emotionally moving practice. But it's the second step that cultivates self-kindness. In this step, you think about yourself in the same way you did that precious person in your life, and you send loving kindness to yourself. You say, May I be happy. May I feel loved. May I be at ease. And may I accept myself just as I am.
The first time I did a loving kindness meditation, I first thought about my young child, visualizing all the positive things I hope for his life. I held him in my mind with tenderness and care, and I prayed he would experience as much of this as possible in his life.
That's powerful, man.
It was. And what I didn't expect is what would happen when I turned that same tender, loving care for my child toward myself.
What happened?
I suddenly recognized in a deep and profound way that just like him, I needed to be treated gently and with kindness. I needed to start talking to myself more like how I talk to my young son. It was life changing.
Fortunately, there are some excellent and free loving kindness meditations available online in health and well-being apps, as well as great books on the topic by folks like Tara Brach and Sharon Salzberg.
I really like the free loving kindness meditation available online through UCLA's Mindfulness Awareness Research Center.
Oh yeah, that's a solid option.
So, a related practice for cultivating self compassion is to take time to recognize and value our positive qualities and successes.
This involves identifying things we appreciate about ourselves, giving ourselves acknowledgement for these attributes and accomplishments, and considering who helped us develop these qualities.
The practice is meant to cultivate a greater appreciation of oneself and to acknowledge the contribution of others to our growth.
Some people also benefit from having a mantra they can say when they're really struggling or hurting. In her book on self-compassion, Kristen Neff shares a few different versions of this mantra that touches on the three aspects of self-compassion.
One version goes, I'm having a really hard time right now. Everyone feels this way sometimes. May I be kind to myself in this moment. May I give myself the compassion I need.
In going beyond these more cognitive practices, there are also physical exercises you can do to foster self-compassion.
Oh, like what?
Simple things, really, like letting your hand rest over your heart, giving yourself a little hug, gently stroking your cheek, cradling your face with both hands, and holding one of your hands and the other hand in your lap.
It's amazing how our bodies respond to physical acts of kindness from ourselves in the same way they do from others.
Like how giving yourself a hug can facilitate the release of oxytocin, the feel-good chemical, and relax you.
Exactly.
And the same goes for when we talk to ourselves kindly. When we're having a difficult time, Kristen Neff recommends we ask ourselves 4 questions taken from Marshall Rosenberg's Nonviolent Communication.
These include, what am I observing? What am I feeling? What am I needing right now? Do I have a request of myself or someone else?
It's a good reminder that we're not just in relationship with others, but with ourselves as well. And just like in any relationship, there are ways of communicating that build the relationship up and ways of communicating that tear it down.
That sounds like a great topic for another episode.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in.
It's pretty incredible how something as simple as treating ourselves the way we would a good friend when we're going through a hard time can have such a profound impact on our mental health and well-being.
I know, right? Well, until next time, we hope you'll try some of these practices, and remember, give yourself a little TLC. You deserve it.
Take care and be well, everybody.
Take care and be well.